Could I ask one question
Yeah,
along those
please.
lines? Because I've only done licensed comics in the 21st century, where licensors now just want cool comics that they think enhances the brand overall. When you were doing this stuff early on, there seemed to be more of a mandate to sell toys. Like, how often did you get the phone call saying, "Hey, we need this character to show up here"? Like, was that a thing that happened, or?
Oh, it was more organized than that.
Yep.
The comic is basically a toy catalog.
Yeah.
In the first year, they did 4 fully animated commercials for the comic. Okay, but even though it was a commercial for a Marvel comic, the comic book cover came spinning out and then boom, stopped. Right. I had to design all those covers first before I even knew it was inside the comics, because they said, okay, in this first issue we're selling blah 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 blah. I had to get those vehicles and whatever. Obviously this one had to have the dragonfly and the water moccasin. And sometimes they wanted these disparate things in a single issue, like a ski mobile and a windsurfer, and somehow I had to figure out how to get all that into the same story. But Hasbro produced and paid for the commercial and paid for the airtime. Okay, this was because I think it was Bob Prupis figured out that, you see, at the time you could not have a toy commercial with more than 5 and 7 seconds of animation in it. The rest of the commercial you had to actually show the real, actual crappy toy.
Or amazing toy.
Yeah, I mean, it could, stuff couldn't be blowing up. You had to show a kid actually sort of pushing it along the ground. So you couldn't animate the toy so that it looked like it would do stuff by itself. And he said, well, the First Amendment of the Constitution makes it impossible for anybody to regulate advertising on a publication.
There you go.
So that if you happen to have a comic book that just happens to have all the toys you want to advertise in it, you could do a 30-second, amazingly violent commercial with stuff blowing up and vehicles slamming through the air and all sorts of great fun, violent stuff happening. And it was perfectly okay. And that's what they did. And it worked like crazy.